Hey everyone, Todd Morgano from Zero.G.Strategy, and today we're talking about managing communications through what will likely be a rocky spring and summer for companies dealing with tariffs. Yes, tariffs are back. Just like that, the ground has shifted yet again on our nation's tariff policy, and business leaders and communicators are back at the table trying to figure out what the latest changes mean and what effect they'll have. So just a little bit of background. First, the Supreme Court struck down the President's Liberation Day tariffs as an illegal use of emergency power. Now, that move could return about $175 billion to U.S. importers, but hang on, because the very next day, the President announced he'll be enacting a new 15% global tariff under a section in the Trade Act of 1974 that allows him to impose temporary import surcharges or quotas. All right, so this, of course, is raising a lot of questions for businesses of all sizes who import products or supplies. Some of the questions are like, how will the new tariff affect the cost of the products I sell? Which products might be exempt? Are the existing agreements negotiated under the previous tariff still valid? Is there a risk this new tariff could also be overturned by the courts? Can I get a refund on the tariffs I've already paid, and how would that even work? Will other countries retaliate? And what kind of impact might that have on my revenue stream? Now, tied to each of those questions is a communications implication. Right now, your customers, clients, your suppliers, vendors, employees, operational and legal teams, they all need accurate and timely information to do their jobs, to plan, to pivot, to adapt. And here's my best advice for how to ensure that your communications around the ever-changing tariff issue can help create clarity and also help you manage your business as you navigate what looks to be about 3 or 4 months of turmoil. Number one is you need to think and organize cross-functionally. This tariff issue, it touches just about every aspect of your business: logistics, finance, legal, HR, government relations, communications, you name it. Whatever team you designate to manage the issue should have representation from or lines of communication into all of those key decision makers in those areas, because their insight is going to be invaluable to assess how tariff policies are affecting not only specific functions within your organization, but also, more importantly, the organization as a whole. Number two, be agile. The tariff situation is fluid. New wrinkles appear out of nowhere, and sometimes they come just hours or days apart. When you're in an environment like that, you can't be static. The plans you develop today may need to be tweaked or revamped tomorrow, and when that happens, it's very easy for heads to spin. Communicating what's happening, why, and walking people through the potential repercussions of the decisions you make is especially important during times of intense volatility. People need more communication the muddier a situation becomes. All right, next up, establish, or if you already have one, reinforce your monitoring and feedback loop. During times of intense turmoil, communications shouldn't just flow from the top down. To understand the true impact on tariffs or any critical event, you need ground-level intelligence from within your organization and also a monitoring system in the outside world to alert you to developments, trends, voices that could be early indicators of rising or changing risks. Because the last thing you want is for your triage team to be disconnected from important signals that they'd otherwise be blind to. Information should flow easily up and down your organization through the command chain, and another good way to do this is to have weekly check-ins established. All right, next up is keeping the lines of communication open with your suppliers and vendors. This is important. Chances are your business is not an island, it's an ecosystem, and a fair part of that ecosystem probably extends to external partners who will have their own issues around tariffs that they're also dealing with. You need to stay connected to them, communicate often, share intelligence, maybe even work on coordinated solutions. Neither you nor they want a surprise, and the best way to guard against surprises is to be timely, clear, and candid in your communications. Next up, be prepared for phases. Now, in these opening days and weeks, there's likely going to be a torrent of information coming at you. And the most important thing during this fog of war phase, if you want to call it that, is to parse out what's true and actionable versus what's conjecture and potentially misleading. And again, communications plays a huge role. You'll be analyzing a lot of information, but you'll also be keeping people abreast of what you understand about the situation, how it may be changing, and what your plans are for responding to it. Now, you may find that after a while things begin to settle down, and there will be more knowns than unknowns, to paraphrase an old Donald Rumsfeld quote for those of you who are old enough to remember. At this stage, it's important to both clarify your positions and take a breath to assess the efficacy of the actions you've taken so far, to see if any plans you have or procedures you've initiated are working the way you'd intended, and whether they need to be modified, and how you might communicate further about those changes at that stage in the game. I just want to re-emphasize here, communications does not go away after the initial rush of activity. You need to play a long game. It's not a one or done. All right, finally, I'll leave you with this. Uncertainty may be the status quo for a while. If you're hoping to ride out this little bump and get over it, you may be setting yourself up for disappointment or potential failure. This new version of the not-so-old tariff issue is likely to be a semi-permanent condition and not a temporary shock. You should treat it as such and make trade risk a standing item in your risk mitigation plan for the remainder of the year, at least. All right, if you have any questions about handling tariff communications or other issues in your organization, just reach out. I'd be happy to lend a hand. And for now, thanks very much for spending a few minutes with me, and we'll see you next time.